Hey friends, what's up? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Today, I'm going to be talking about 10 of the fragrances that you gotta own, or at the very least, you have to smell. Because these are fragrances you can never escape. These fragrances are the Jason Voorhees of the fragrance community. Like you try to get away, you think, okay, it's not here anymore. And suddenly up from behind, what is it? Yeah, it's one of these fragrances. You will never escape them. They will be talked about until the end of time. So therefore, they are either must-owns or must-smells. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about these heavy hitters. Now, in the not too distant future, I plan on making a version of this video that's more under the radar fragrances. So ones that your average person maybe doesn't know about, but that you should absolutely get your nose on. Like physically put your nose onto the bottle, of course, that's what I mean. But these ones are just monsters of their industry, titans. And before we jump into this, code time, Gents10 is the code for twistedlily.com and maxaroma.com. Use that code, plug it into the coupon code section when you check out. It'll get you 10% off either of those websites. Or luckyscent.com if you're a highfalutin howdy towdy looking for some expensive niche or indie fragrances, you can use the code 10GENTS. Will also save you 10%. And with niche fragrances in mind, let's get this fragrance list kicked off with the most obvious fragrance that could possibly be in this list. Creed Aventus. That's what I meant to say. My brain shut off when that bottle started to come up. So Aventus, yeah, you need to smell it at some point. In case you're unaware of this, it's the first time that you're hearing it. Aventus is known for having batch variations, which means that depending on which batch your fragrance bottle is, it could smell a little bit different. The fragrance itself has variations in its smell. But don't worry, there are also people out there that will tell you, nah man, Aventus is Aventus and smells like Aventus. Is that clear as mud? Good. So it has pineapple in the opening. That's what it's really well known for. And you see a lot of different fragrances out there kind of trying to lift that opening, that pineapple bergamot opening. There's also musk in here, vanilla birch, which gives it a nice smokiness. Versatility unmatched. You can wear this anywhere, anytime, legitimately, and it will work. We'll dip our toes into the designer realm with Nuit de L'Homme. This is the Eau de Toilette, the original, the OG La Nuit. So many flankers of Nuit de L'Homme at this point, and the original YSL L'Homme also. They're just flankers galore. The big selling factor here, the big thing everybody's gonna talk about is the cardamom. Yeah, the cardamom in Nuit de L'Homme is really nice. It's sexy, spicy, sweet, very appealing. And it's gotten to the point, and I've said this before, that the cardamom in this fragrance ends up being like the benchmark cardamom for a lot of people. In terms of date night fragrances, this is close to as good as you're gonna get. The compliment factor here is just off the chain. The performance could be maybe a little bit better, but I don't care. La Nuit is a classic, modern masterpiece. And another thing I'll say very quickly here is if you're a younger guy, you don't have much money to spend, but you still want to be able to like get some wearings in from some of these fragrances, like the more well-known designers and stuff. If you have a Sephora nearby, you can go in there and ask them to make you some samples. They'll do that for free. They'll make some little 2 milliliter sample sprays for you. So you can wear the fragrances some and see how you like them before you make a purchase. So do keep that in mind. And back in the day, Nordstrom allowed you to make your own samples. I don't know if they still do. I don't have a Nordstrom local to me, but I'm sure somebody in the comments can let you know. Okay, this one is just, it's inevitable. This one just, it's always there. This is like the fragrance that lurks over my shoulder every time I ask you guys, what's, the best fragrance for this situation or that situation. This one pops up. It's Acqua di Gio Profumo from Giorgio Armani. Of course, Acqua di Gio, massively popular. Everybody knows Acqua di Gio, best-selling men's fragrance of all time. And at least as far as the fragrance community goes, Acqua di Gio Profumo is the most loved, the most talked about. And I get it. I mean, this is really ramping up that Acqua di Gio DNA, making it so much more suitable and appealing for people nowadays. It modernizes the DNA. The incense in here, I think, gives it great depth. I think that realistically, you could wear this year round. I know a lot of people won't. They'll say, nah, wintertime, this, isn't made for that, so I won't wear it, but it works during the winter. It has everything you would want in a designer fragrance. The versatility, the compliment factor, performance, everything. Let's go back to niche. Mancera. Cedrat Boise. Now, some people will compare this to Creed's Aventus. They'll say that this is like Mancera's version of Aventus. I don't think it's really super close to Aventus. It's a much different scent profile. It's sweeter. It's more concentrated on fruits and doesn't have that smokiness from the birch. It has leather in here. So, I mean, maybe some people could misconstrue that and say, well, the leather in here kind of reminds me of the birch in Aventus, but to me, it does not. One thing that I would say, though, is that Cedrat Boise does have the versatility that Aventus has. That's one of the things that makes this very popular, on top of just being a very mass appealing scent and being very affordable, at least as far as niche goes. Because you can get a 120 milliliter size bottle of Cedrat Boise for much, much, much less than a 50 ml size bottle of Aventus. So you get great bang for your buck, great usability, and a really nice kind of entryway into niche fragrances. Let's keep it niche with this next one, Naxos from Xerjoff. This, one of the nicer tobacco fragrances on the market. It is way up there. For a long time, people would say Pure Havane from Mugler. That's the one you want designer-wise. And niche-wise, you want Naxos. This is the older style bottle. I bring this up every time because if somebody's just getting into fragrances, they might get confused sometimes and be like, well, I looked up Naxos, but the bottle is way different than yours. What's going on? Is it the same thing? Yes, they just updated the presentation on some of their older fragrances. Same fragrance though. And Naxos, as I said, just a top-notch tobacco fragrance. It's sweet, but classy, not overdone. You know, it doesn't go like full on syrupy mode. Excellent tobacco, and one that you definitely need to get your nose on. Fall and winter time, that stuff is a stunner. Let's go back to designers, and we're gonna go with this one. The One Eau de Toilette from Dolce & Gabbana. Now, really with this, I'm gonna say the One Eau de Toilette or Eau de Parfum. So I'm showing you the Eau de Toilette in my hand here, and the Eau de Parfum is a picture over here through the magic of editing. But either one, just you got to get your nose on something that is the one. If you're starting out, just stick with the Eau de Toilette or the Eau de Parfum. The Eau de Toilette's going to be a little more affordable at discounters. It doesn't last as long. It doesn't project as much as the Eau de Parfum. And that is the one thing that this fragrance does get ragged on for, is the performance. The Eau de Parfum corrects some of those issues. It's a bit deeper as well, a little bit richer. Most people would say the Eau de Parfum is superior to the Eau de Toilette. I do agree with that. But again, it is a little more expensive from discounters, so it's kind of up to you. But smell one of them, or actually both of them. It's a tobacco amber fragrance. It's spicy, it's sweet. It's an amazing date night scent. Great for fall and winter time. People absolutely love the way that the One smells. This next selection for the list is actually 3 fragrances. I think that really you should smell all 3 of these. So it's Bleu de Chanel. This is the Eau de Toilette. Dior Sauvage. This is the Eau de Toilette. And YSLY. This is the Eau de Parfum. Now, if you wanted to go with Sauvage Eau de Parfum or Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum, that is completely fine, just as long as you kind of get the idea of the fragrance, the idea of the DNA. So these are the big 3 designer blue fragrances. That's why they're all together here. And they all have nice blue bottles. I would say by sales, actually, these 3 probably at this point are the biggest in this list. Sauvage is going to be the loudest one. It's going to be the one that projects the heaviest. It can get a little overwhelming if you spray it on too much. Has a lot of ambroxan. It's kind of metallic in the opening. It has bergamot, it has lavender, pepper. Ultra appealing though. Like, this is just insane, the amount of attention that it gets. Really, all 3 of these are. I'd say Bleu de Chanel is the classiest of the bunch. So this is the one that smells the most sophisticated, the most buttoned up, not as much in your face. Really nice incense note in this as it dries down. Great citrus opening, very appealing. And then why Eau de Parfum? This guy, great performance, quite sweet. It has an apple note that's very prominent in the opening that sets it apart a bit from these, and then has a nice amber woody base as it dries down. But all 3 of those, you got to get your nose on. You got to be familiar with those blues. So the next lot is 2 fragrances from the same house. It's Parfums de Marly, and the fragrances are Leighton and Herod. So Herod is a tobacco scent, in case you're unaware. I love tobacco fragrances, assuming that they're done well, and this one is. This one's very spicy, decently sweet, has some floral backing to it, which makes it very interesting. Osmanthus, actually one of the notes in here. And it's considered one of Parfums de Marly's best fragrances overall. It doesn't get the hype of Layton nowadays, but people that have smelled that and own that, they praise it just as much as Layton, if not more. It's one of those niche fragrances that has designer aspects to it in the sense that it's made for mass appeal, to be worn in fall and winter as much as possible, to just pull you compliments, pull you attention. It's that type of scent. So you get niche quality, but designer sensibilities. After that, we got a Tom Ford, nice and expensive, like you would expect. Gray Vetiver. So I have to work at least one vetiver fragrance into this video. And gray vetiver for a lot of people is gonna be one of the safer bets. Vetiver is a note that a lot of people end up being scared of because vetiver can come across in a whole boatload of different ways. So it can be very dry, it can be very woody, it can be grassy, it can be smoky, it can be earthy, it can be very clean, it can be green. Depending on the type of vetiver, how much is used, and the fragrance it's going into, it can come across just so many different ways. Enter gray vetiver and fragrances like this one. It presents you vetiver, but in a very clean, easy, approachable way. That makes it a really nice, wonderful office fragrance. Great for more formal situations where you want to smell buttoned up, more elegant, more sophisticated, classier, whatever you want to call it. Gray vetiver does that really well. It's easy to pull off. Before the last fragrance, I do want to say there are a bunch of other ones that I wanted to put in here, but then it would just, run really long. Stuff like Dior Homme Intense or the Dior Homme line, Valentino Uomo Intense, Gentleman Eau de Parfum, all those fragrances. Eros, the Azzaro Wanted line, the Stronger With You line, the Spice Bomb line. There's a lot of stuff that I would like to work in here, but then it would be really long, like I said. But shout out to those as well. Last fragrance, Prada L'Homme. Got to give some love to Prada L'Homme. It is one of those, top of the line designer office fragrances because the iris in here is very soapy, very clean, powdery as well, but fresh, easy to wear. It's going to have you smelling like $1,000,000. You do have to like iris. You do have to enjoy fragrances with a bit of powder to it. If you don't like either of those things, you're going to be in for a bad time here. But if you've never smelled something like that, get your nose on this, especially because I don't know how long it's going to be around. I don't trust Prada with this one. I'm not saying that it's discontinued, not saying that. But what I am saying is I don't trust Prada here. And Prada is a house that for a long time has actually been one of the best, if not the best, designer houses at putting forth those soapy, clean, powdery types of scents for men that are really wearable in spite of being a little powdery. So Prada L'Homme, wrapping this one up. I want to thank you guys for hanging with me here. Thank you for your support. Stay safe out there. And I will see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.